The San Jose Sharks' future is so bright after a wave of new prospects is tearing it up in their first full year of pro hockey. We're going to break down this and dive into some of the prospects that are tearing it up in the junior level as well, so you're not going to want to miss this episode of Sharks Digest. But before we dive into everything here, we're going to have everything related to the Sharks here on this channel, whether it's prospects, whether it's the big club, and hopefully Stanley Cup playoffs when we get there this year. So if you want to stay up to date on everything around the San Jose Sharks, go down below, hit that subscribe button. It's completely free. We'd love to have you join the little community we're building here. But with that said, let's dive right into this, because the San Jose Sharks have obviously been building a franchise here over the last few years. Obviously some big names coming through there with Macklin Celebrini, Will Smith, and you know, the list goes on and on and on. But there are some young guys that are still coming up and developing at the AHL level, and even some late round picks in the WHL junior level that we're going to dive in later in this video. But first, I want to talk with the guys that are dominating with the Barracuda right now. And if you've been watching this channel for a while, you know this name, and that's Igor Chernyshov. We've been talking about this guy, it seems like forever now. I mean, last year he kind of broke on the scene, came over to North America from Russia, and just tore it up. I believe it was with the Saginaw Spirit, if I can remember correctly, when he came over last year, and really showed that, hey, he took a big jump from the KHL to the junior level, and now is taking an even bigger jump in the NHL, or in the AHL, sorry, not the NHL quite yet, but he will get there at some point. But right now, through 22 games so far this season, Igor Chernyshov has 11 goals, 9 assists for 20 points, also 22 PIMs for the kid too. And I think this is great news. I believe right now he is the leading points getter for the San Jose Barracuda as I am recording this video. So great to hear that about Chernyshov. I was really high on this guy when I started seeing him over on North American ice. A guy who really reminds me of, you know, a young jumbo Joe Thornton. I think, you know, that's a big comparison to make. Like, you know, obviously Joe Thornton's probably the greatest Shark of all time, and maybe one of the greatest power forwards of all time, but he's definitely drawing some comparisons here. Do I think he has the ceiling to get to Joe Thornton level? Maybe we're not quite there yet, but he's almost a point per game player at the AHL level. If, you know, something happens this year where the Sharks go down a man with injury, hopefully that doesn't happen, but if it does happen, it's hockey, it does happen. This is a guy that I believe the Sharks will call on, and I think he can get the job done at the NHL level. He's a big body. He's not afraid to lay people out. He's not afraid to put the puck in the back of net. Park is, you know, his big body in front of that net as well. So I think this guy is going to be terrific. We've seen it so far in the AHL level. We've seen it in all levels of hockey he's been at, and he's only getting better year after year after year. And I think this is a guy who is definitely going to be bottom six for the San Jose Sharks in a couple of years, maybe even next year. I think he's just one, you know, great season away from being called up to the full club, at the big club, and staying there. I think if something happens this year where the Sharks need a guy desperately, I think he's a guy who definitely gets called up. And I really do like his play, and I really hope that we do see Chernyshov at the NHL level. But there's another guy who is on this team with Chernyshov, who we've also talked a lot about here on the channel. That is Quinton Musty. Obviously, late first-round draft pick from a couple of years ago. I believe 26th overall selection. And he was dominating last year. I believe it was in the OHL, and we were talking about him saying, we can't wait to see him come over. We can't wait to see what he does at the AHL level. And look what he's doing. 19 points in 22 games, just a point behind Chernyshov here, and he's really being the player we know he is. He's a great goal scorer. He's a great playmaker. He's, you know, one of those guys who's really offensive oriented and is really fast. Like, when he gets to his top speed, and he can use his hands to break down defenders and to make plays happen. And we're seeing that so far at the AHL level for Quinton Musty. And I think, like I said, if something happens this year where they need to call upon somebody in the AHL, I definitely think Quinton Musty could be a guy who comes up and plays in this bottom six for the San Jose Sharks this year. I really do have high hopes for Musty. I think, like I said about Chernyshov, I think he's only a year or two away from playing in the NHL full time. And the reason, like, they're not coming over from the OHL right away and playing in the NHL is because they want to give them enough time to develop. And, when they're playing in the Barracuda and they're playing in the top two lines, they're getting a lot more ice time. They're gaining a lot more experience than they would be playing, maybe 12, 13 minutes a night on the San Jose Sharks in the NHL. So they're getting full development down here and just, they're finding ways to make their game work at the pro level. I do think Quinton Musty is going to be a guy who finds his way into the NHL. There's no doubt about that in my mind. But I do want to talk about, the whole list of the San Jose Barracuda. I'll bring it up full for you guys here. Obviously, we talked about their top 2 point scorers in Igor Chernyshov, Quinton Musty. Luca Cagnoni is a guy we seen towards the end of last year for the San Jose Sharks, having a tremendous year as well. A great two-way guy, leaning more offensive these days. 17 points, 5 goals, 12 assists. 5 goals for a defenseman in 20 games is absolutely outstanding as well. And obviously, there's Kasper Halttunen is a guy I'm really high on. Yes, only 9 points in 20 games, but I do think we can see him pick up the pace here and get on track. He's a great goal scorer. He was really key in the London Knights run to the Memorial Cup last year. And I'm really high on this guy. And there's a lot. Obviously, like Cam Lund is a guy who can get called up anytime. He's, having a decent year, 11 points in 15 games. Same with Philip Bystedt. This guy is a stud as well. He's been a stud last year. He's now a stud again this year with 17 points in 20 games. But I do want to talk about some of the guys that maybe you guys haven't heard of, and these are some third-round picks that are having some insane seasons right now. Actually, before we dive into that, we're going to talk about Michael Misa. Got my slides mixed up here, but I do want to talk about Michael Misa because, yes, he has had a slow start, and I think he may be struggling to find his footing in the NHL, but not to worry. We see this all the time with a lot of young talent. I mean, even Connor Bedard went through it his first NHL season. The guy who's was the top prospect coming in to the NHL, coined to be the next Connor McDavid, really showing that now. So I think Michael Misa, he just needs to find a way to make his game work in the NHL level. And obviously he's dealing with injuries on a conditioning stint right now with the Barracuda, where he has 1 goal and 1 point in 2 games. 3 points in 7 games at the NHL level. I definitely think it's too early to judge Michael Misa yet. I think he has a lot in him. He has a lot of talent. He's a very, very successful goal scorer. He just needs to find his rhythm, find his space where he can, go to work and break down defenders and put the puck in the back of the net. And I definitely don't think we rule out Misa yet. I'm still really high on this guy, and I really do think, maybe once he gets called back up, once he's healthy from this injury, we do get to see him get going. I really hope so, because I was so excited when the Sharks drafted this guy. But now we're done to talk about the third-round picks that are going off. And this guy, Teddy Mutryn, where did he come from? That's what everybody's asking right now, because at 18 years old, he's playing his first season in the QMJHL with the Moncton Wildcats. He was a third-round pick last year by the San Jose Sharks at the 95th selection. Right now, having 28 points in 23 games, he has come out of the woodwork and has just been going to town for the Moncton Wildcats here. 12 goals, 16 assists. And you guys, if you're not familiar with this game, I sound excited. You know why? Because if you've been watching, you know me, I love power forwards. And this guy is a power forward at 6'1", 209. At only 18 years of age, he still has time to grow, get bigger. This guy is going to be an absolute beast. This is a guy we're looking like Chernyshov, right? Like, he's kind of a similar style of play. And we're seeing him, having some insane point totals so far. I mean, 12 goals, 16 assists. This guy is really taking his first leap into the junior, into like a higher, junior hockey level with the QMJHL, and is really running with it and showing, why he maybe should have got drafted higher in this draft. And obviously it was a big risk for the San Jose Sharks to take this guy without having, very high experience, only ever playing in the USHL. But what a pick. And he's really looking like he's going to be something here for the San Jose Sharks in the future. I think, maybe next year or a year later, you can play in the Q till you're 20 years old. So maybe we see him play another season in the Q. Maybe he comes over to the AHL and then graduates to the NHL. I think this is a guy we're looking at long-term to be a great bottom six staple for this San Jose Sharks team. So keep your eye on Mutryn here, because I really like this guy. I really like his play. From what I've seen from this guy, I love a big power forward, and that's what you're getting here. But there's another guy who was a third-round pick we want to talk about here, and that's Carson Wetch. Yeah, I probably haven't heard of this guy either, but he was the 82nd overall selection in the third round in the 2024 NHL entry draft. For the San Jose Sharks. He's a guy out of North Vancouver, BC here, and now playing in the WHL, 27 points, 23 games, was a point-per-game player last year, 89 points in 23-24. This guy looks like he's getting better. Yes, there was a big drop last year, but his plus-minus was higher. You have 5 goals in the playoffs for 6 points for the Hitmen. So he's looking good this year at 27 points through 23 games, 9 goals, 18 assists. From what I've seen from a lot of scouts and a lot of their breakdowns on this kid's game, is he's a very explosive, awesome, offensive-minded winger who can just burn down the wing and shoot the puck or set up a teammate. He's great at playmaking. He's great at goal scoring. One thing I did see from a lot of scouts, they were saying he needs to work on his two-way game to get to that, next, unlock that part of his game that will get him to the NHL level. So maybe that's what he's working on here. I mean, he's only 19 years old. He can play one more year in the WHL before coming over to the Sharks system. So I really hope we get to see this guy over with the Barracuda maybe next season, maybe the year after. But this is another guy to look at long term. Maybe I'm not as high on him as I am Mutryn, but that's just biased because I like power forwards. But I think this guy definitely has something special. And if he can unlock that side of his game, we can definitely see a future with Wetch in the San Jose Sharks organization. So that's a lot to take into the day. A lot of new names, a lot of old names to be familiar with. But it's really fun to be a San Jose Sharks fan right now. I mean, you have so many great young stars. Obviously, the ones in the big club right now, but ones coming up like Chernyshov, like Musty. It's really fun. And I can't wait to, continue to talk about these players with you. And hopefully, we follow them for years and they make it to the San Jose Sharks and we're all so excited. So hopefully we get to see that happen. But I want to hear from you guys down below in the comment section. Who is your favorite San Jose Sharks prospect who is not with the club right now? Love to hear your guys' thoughts on that down below in the comment section. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Like I said, it's completely free. We're going to be talking San Jose Sharks here. So if you want to become a part of the best Sharks community on YouTube, hit that free subscribe button. But as always, I've been your host, KC. We'll catch you in the next one.